Welcome to The One Thing, where each episode features our signature segment, Pandora's Box. We dive into hot topics that challenge the norm and ignite real conversation.
Inspired by Greek mythology, Pandora's Box isn't just about chaos. It's about truth, transformation and hope. That's what we bring to every conversation.
Have a cause or business that deserves to be seen? Want to be remembered forevermore? Be our next special guest. Contact us today at theonething@edgeradioaustralia.com.
And you're listening to The One Thing on Edge Radio Australia. And oh my goodness, we have a hot topic for you today, don't we, Aaron?
Scaldingly so. Absolutely.
Yeah, very much so. I'd like to welcome our guests, Bron, Hendry and Brendon Cooke. Thank you so much for joining us. And it has to be said that we are already missing our co-host, Leanne Jones.
Goes without saying.
Yes, absolutely. It's not the same without you, Leanne. So we look forward to seeing you back next week. What I want to do to start with before we hear from Bron and Brendon is I want to read something that really moved me that Bron sent to me. I never wanted a fight with the state. I wanted to do my job in a safe workplace and be treated with dignity. But the system doesn't protect people like me. It protects itself. If my story makes you angry, good. Because change doesn't happen until we all start paying attention to who our justice system really serves. So we've called this episode The Silenced for a very good reason. Why is this ex-prison officer taking on the federal court? So, Bron, you're an ex-prison officer and you've made a complaint about sexual harassment. Why should this matter to anybody? Why? Actually, I'm going to start with you, Brendon. You contacted me and introduced us to Bron, and the reason that you wanted to come on air and speak about this matter today was because it's an issue that the corporate media have actually dropped. Is that correct?
That's correct. So when I was here last time, we spoke about when you engage with mainstream media and bring to their attention stories which should be on the front page of every newspaper and headlining every night. But when you start exposing things you're not supposed to, those journalists either get seconded or they disappear, or quite frankly, they just outright say, sorry, got it from our management that I'm not allowed to comment or do any more stories about this. And when that happens, what we are seeing is a very quick movement towards being suppressed and silenced. And it allows for a state government or a federal government to effectively run a country and treat their people however they want without any human rights.
So what is your role in this, Brendon? What's your job?
So my role is give advice as an industrial agent from the start. So when you approach your union, if you can't get support from a union, they'll come to me. And like I said last time, I'll support people who are innocent and have been unfairly treated within their workplace.
Yes.
Give them the basic fundamentals of what steps they have to take through the different commissions, Fair Work, the IRC. And once they reach the end of that, if I can't support them any longer, it's up to them whether or not they want to self-represent or if they want to get a law firm involved. And from that point onwards, I'm more of a support person and advocate.
And that's the role you're playing for Bron, Hendry.
That's
Excellent.
The role, yeah.
Aaron, what I think we might do is play that same video that we played last time that Brendon was on, just to put some context into the conversation. Anybody that is interested in watching that interview that we did with Brendon, it was on a couple of weeks ago. So please do feel free to go back and watch that as well. So let's just have a little listen to this video. And then if we come back, and Brendon, you can just let us know a little bit more context about that. And then maybe we'll let you introduce Bron, since you're working with her.
Sounds great.
Bunbury Regional Prison houses some of the state's worst criminals, but it's not the inmates under investigation tonight. It's the staff. 7 News can reveal a group of prison officers at the Southwest facility are facing shocking allegations of bullying, intimidation and sexual harassment. Their female colleagues allegedly subjected to vulgar behaviour. Another bombshell for our prison system, already cooking under the intense pressure of public scrutiny.
Inappropriate comments, female prison officers grabbed and put into offices with senior officers, and inappropriate activities occurring, and other crude behaviour like sniffing seats and making comments in front of other peers.
7 News has been given a copy of the allegations. Much of it is simply too graphic to report, but it includes serious allegations, threats of rape, sexual advances and even death threats. One woman says she was confronted with decapitated dead animals left at the doorstep after speaking out. 1 week, this possum, the next, a puppy. It's understood nearly 20 complainants have come forward. Their experiences now the centre of a WorkSafe and Industrial Relations Commission investigation. The WA Prison Officers Union also confirming it's assisting a number of members with sexual harassment claims across the state, including Bunbury.
You don't expect to go to work and to be harassed. You expect to have your colleagues and your peers protecting you and looking out for you, and not be acting like the actual perpetrators that they're looking after.
In a statement, the Department of Justice said it's aware of the matters and is investigating. Cassidy Moscone, 7 News.
Don't expect the prison officers to be acting like the perpetrators, which is exactly what you said there, Brendon.
Exactly, yeah. And it's very disappointing that, being that it's already a very difficult role to perform, very high stress levels, very dangerous, underappreciated because there's no public view of what we actually do.
Yep.
There's no phones, there's no CCTV. We're literally working in another world.
So you used to be, just to let everybody know, you used to be a prison officer, so you know firsthand.
I do, yes.
Yes.
I was a prison officer for 8 years in the private and public sector, and worked in all different jurisdictions, minimum, medium, maximum security prisons.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all the same when it comes to prisons. It's highly secretive. It's private. It's there's a lot that goes on behind the walls that people will never know about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can imagine. Bron.
Yes.
Bron.
Yes.
She doesn't look like a prison officer, does she?
No, not at all. I mean, this fella does. But
Yeah, he's built.
built for the job.
I'm not badly built for a girl, really. I'm pretty tall.
It's 2025. I'm not going near that.
No.
Look, it's an honour to have you here, quite frankly, to
Thank
have
you.
you here to tell your story. So I think we all just need to be quiet right now and actually listen to what you've got to say, because your experience has been life-changing.
It has, yeah. Obviously, the details are in before a court and also before a criminal prosecution. So the details of what actually occurred, I mean, a lot of it has been televised already of the generalised behaviours and the conduct that occurred. I think probably more importantly, we touched on the mainstream media and how they kind of no longer report. And it's crazy that I often think that mainstream media should be there in the public's interest and to protect the public. So what happened originally is they were attending the federal court, and some great stories came out and were aired, and then they didn't. And so then what happens then is that there is no media in the room.
Yes.
Which changes.
So who tells them to stop?
Their editors, obviously. I don't know. We don't know.
Okay.
We do know that there was a kind of a bit of a direction from the commissioner, and that was through the union, not Brendon's union, the Waypole union. That was no comment, no story.
Okay.
And so, and potentially it gets old for people. I've been before the federal court for almost 2 years.
Sure.
But in saying that, as you represent yourself in that situation and you're showing up every time and you're feeling a little bit, oof, because, there's, I think altogether at the moment there's 19 barristers and lawyers and I'm facing them. So I sit at the end of one bar table in front of a federal court judge in an environment that just feels surreal, like the movies.
Yeah. Your courage is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's courage. I wouldn't know if I'd describe it as courage because on the way there, I have a cry all the way.
Yeah.
On the way home, I have a cry all the way.
Yeah, but you turn up.
But I do, and I try my best. I think it's a very technical place to be, and I try my best to respect the courts, and I try my best to respect the parties. And at no stage do you think litigation is about theatrics.
Yep.
And about poetic verses and Latin and a myriad of technical arguments before you even touch on the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
So you can remember, we haven't even touched on the subject matter. It has been almost 2 years of technical arguments.
Are you able to just take us back, like listening to that media clip that we just played on the news, Brendon, where you actually spoke? I mean, some of those acts were absolutely horrific, chair sniffing and rape, and the accusations that they were talking about were just totally unacceptable. So if you can just take us back to your experience, how long were you a prison officer for?
So I was only a prison officer for 2 years, only a couple of years. I was the only female officer that came into the prison at that time.
Right.
So I was the fresh meat.
Okay.
That was fresh meat. That's terrible.
Yes, that was exactly what they called you.
It's a commonly used term.
It's fresh meat. Yes.
Is that for males and females?
No, just mainly what I experienced. It's a male-dominated industry, sure. And so I think they are very entrenched in male values. It's paramilitary type styled authority,
okay.
And so it's your fresh meat. And I was probably in the perfect category of age. And the only female walking in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then obviously it starts with, finding out if you're single or what your relationship status is. And then you get called names, MILF, GILF. So when I was a MILF originally, which is, I don't know if we all know the abbreviation of that.
I think we all do.
Or if I'm allowed to say that on air. But then when I had grandbabies, I was the GILF. Wow. And so that's just a common, just every day.
That's not acceptable in a workplace.
You wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so.
No, you wouldn't think so. And then you have to then build some form of resilience to that because it's not coming from the prisoners. So the prisoners, if they wolf whistle or if they comment, they're very quickly apprehended. But it's quite common for women to be denigrated by male officers because they are, I think, particularly they're the minority. And yeah, so I mean, lots of things. Chair sniffing. You couldn't have a microphone in front of you like this, for example, because you couldn't eat a banana. So that you were told by senior officers you had to break apart your banana because you weren't to be seen to be eating it.
Kidding.
No.
Is this like year 10 in high school?
You would think so.
Are these grown adults doing this? I mean, this is ridiculous.
The environment kind of harvests it. You do 12-hour shifts with these people. It can be at times very quiet. And I believe a lot of it comes from boredom. I think a lot of it comes from banter and grandstanding with men. And I'm not a feminist at all. I have 6 boys. And so therefore
wow. 6 boys?
Yes.
Congratulations.
That's
impressive. I'm not a burn my bras kind of girl at all. I've raised 6 boys.
Sure.
Wow. So your boys must be really protective of you.
They are. I actually do quite well to protect them from this. They are highly protective. And so to the extent where they don't even know the details because together they would obviously, I would be concerned if what they would do to protect their mum.
Okay, so you're not worried about them listening to this?
No, not at all. No. They know that, they're very, very, it's got their heads switched on. They're all very successful in what they do, and they've had their own families. There was times where we were scared as a family with obviously the circumstances about what happens. So, for example, if you report, I think, that's a good example. and one of the examples, if you report what happens to you, and there are then consequences. So people will warn you, senior officers warn you, don't bring a bag into work. And you go, why? Like, why? And they'll say, oh, because someone's going to plant drugs in it, and then someone's going to search your car, and then this happens.
Who is someone?
We don't know. So this is the catastrophizing that these senior officers do just to scare you.
Sure.
We don't know if it's ever happened before. I don't know.
But they're creating the fear.
They create a fear, yes.
I can add on that. So I knew a very outspoken union delegate that worked in the private prison.
Right.
And there was they were renegotiating wages, pays, and it was quite substantial, and he was getting a lot of grief in relation to it. By some coincidence, his home was visited by multiple bikies.
Right.
And they targeted him in particular, and he was left in a very bad way. Broken bones. He was beaten very badly.
Right.
And the message was clear.
Very much so.
Stop what you're doing. Now, that was a targeted attack against a union delegate prison officer who worked in a private sector prison.
Jeez.
But there was an order given by someone within the prison authority to have that done. So when we talk about how they get things done, is there a direct line between underworld figures, OMCG, and different authorities such
What
as
does
police and
OMCG
prisons?
stand for?
Outlaw Motorcycle Gang.
Okay.
So yeah, there is definitely a connection there, and things get done. And
Jeez.
that's legitimate.
So take us back to square one. What was your experience, Bron?
The details of my experience I probably can't tell in detail, but they were all of those experiences. So in that encapsulated chair sniffing and derogatory language and threats of harm, a myriad of things that occurred, and obviously name calling. I mean, that just went on. That was pervasive. Okay. Pocket pussy, for example, that's been publicly aired. We can talk about that. So officers make pocket pussies out of 2 rubber gloves,
right? And
they put water in them, put them in the microwave, and they create what could be described as a prop, a sexual prop that looks like a vagina.
Okay.
And it's beautifully done. It's a work of art. It's very well crafted. They've spent a lot of time making them. And then they pass it around for other officers, usually during lockup when the prisoners are doing their own thing and we're all waiting to be called up to lock them up.
Sure.
And stimulate those props in front of you.
They stimulate them. What do you mean?
Also, they'll put the hand wash in them and they'll play with them and they'll say, how do you like it? Or, yeah, and they'll do lots of things where you're very uncomfortable, and sometimes you're the only female in that unit.
Can I just ask a question? Is this a case, both of you, of the minority making it hard for the majority? Like, surely there are good prison officers.
Oh, without a doubt. And you know what? It's funny. The girls, you call them the safe men.
Okay.
The men that are consistently safe, the ones that you can work with every day. They're not going to crack on, and so there is, and I think what happens in these environments is that there is only a very few officers,
I can imagine,
and senior officers that initiate these actions. The problem is in that environment is that it creates a grandstanding, so then everyone in there gets involved, and that's because they don't want to be the ones that are
peer pressure,
the prude that steps out and says, don't do that, fellas, because then they'll be targeted. So I get why some of the men just go with it, don't report it, and don't support the people.
But this is why bullying happens, and it just drives me crazy.
But because it's so pervasive, I get why with the men that...
we're making excuses for them.
No, enabling it. I know there is no excuse. There is none.
Well, it's weakness. And in an environment like that where these men want to actually be seen to be strong, they're actually showing unbelievable weakness. I've got a friend who is an officer, in the prison system, who is, I could very comfortably say, is an incredibly staunch protector of women. Really good guy, all right? Yeah, you know that. And here's what worries me, or kind of almost upsets me, because he's my friend, is I think to myself, geez, has he been in environments like that and kept quiet, even though he's such a staunchly protective fella. You know, is that peer pressure that strong that they feel, or is they, or not even the peer pressure, is the repercussions so strong and so severe that they won't speak up?
Well, yes. I mean, I think what we've talked about and is that there is a general consensus that you don't dob another officer in.
Yeah.
That is the lay of the land, regardless of what they've done or who you are or who they are. And if you don't have their back, and if you dob another person in, or if you protect another person, then your life will be at risk.
It's that serious. Your life's at risk.
That's what they say. Your life will be at risk because you rely on your wingmen when you walk out into the wings, when you go out into the yards.
Of course you do.
And if you've created a report, or if you've reported somebody, then you no longer will have that person to back you up. And that was what is.
Do you think this is worldwide, or do you think this is worse in Australia?
I think it's in prisons, particularly. Okay. I don't know worldwide. I think potentially maybe in prisons, mining. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously, it's in mining. There's massive class actions going ahead now about those groups. I mean, those cases have been suppressed. That you can't see them in currently before the courts. But I think the problem with the prison environment, and it's kind of, there's a lack of supervision. There is a lack of accountability, and there is a standard of acceptability, potentially because of the environment.
Look, I think it's much bigger than that, to be absolutely frank with you, because I see, I have seen far too much government intervention into things that they shouldn't be intervening with. You were talking before about you didn't know where the word had come from. Well, okay, we can wind the clock back not that far, and you had John Quigley, right, who was making phone calls to get stuff done.
Correct.
Like, you know, and for that matter, our premier at the time, McGowan, the inside deals and the pressure they would put on to different departments, even if it's the prison department, the education department, all of these, it shows that, in my opinion, very clearly, there is no justice. Okay, it is a legal profession. Okay, it's a legal system. It is not a justice system, and I think that too many people are wielding power from above. Is that something you would agree with? Certainly in the prison system?
Absolutely. I think with the prison system especially, there is no level of competency.
Yeah, okay.
So no one has to be to hold a position of a superintendent. You don't have to have a competency or a license or a registered body where you've got an obligation to do what you do. There's an external regulatory, or like you're a doctor, you have to be licensed with a medical teacher, you have to have a license, a lawyer, you have to be part of the legal practice board. With the prison system, you can be nobody and become somebody.
I'll have a little rebuttal on that, and I don't want to take away from what you're saying. But, the Legal Practices Board is a toothless tiger.
Correct.
In fact, it's not. That's not even true. They protect those who actually break the law, right? They protect crooked lawyers. That's a fact. You could say the same thing very clearly about APRA as far as the medical profession. So even having a protected board out there, what's it going to do when, unfortunately, the hierarchy of these people, of these systems, the people involved don't really have any ethics?
There's potentially somewhere to go.
Yeah.
So the only place I had to go was WorkSafe.
Yep.
They were the only independent regulatory body that could oversee risks in the prison that was associated with psychosocial stuff. Because the internal complaints, again, it's the department investigating the department.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us what your experience was with the internal complaints?
So I started in the basic process, which is obviously I started chatting. I was very new. I didn't know that it was that pervasive. So I started speaking to senior officers, for example. And that's the video that we've obviously.
Yeah, so just let us know when you want us to play that video.
So that was when I approached an acting senior officer at the time, and I was starting to say, look, hang on, like, what do I do about this? Where do I report it? Is there a pathway of complaint? And he sent me what I thought was the department form.
Okay.
And then I read it. And then...
What was it really?
So it was called a hurt feelings report.
You have that report here, don't you?
I do, yeah. So I have that report and an email. Yeah.
So was it obvious to you that it wasn't a departmental report, given the fact that it had no letterhead or anything on it?
Well, the thing is, though, with the department stuff is there's not a lot of approved pro forma forms.
Is there not?
There seems to be a complete lack of paperwork, written stuff, for example. So a lot of it is that if you want a safety report, you use their safety system and things like that. So there's not. So I was new also. So I was very early. I think I'd only been there, 4 months or something. And he'd emailed this through to me, and I trusted that, okay, that's as good. And then I started filling it out because it starts kind of okay. And then I read it, and then I was like, oh. And then the follow-up was that here in this prison, this is how you do a report.
Okay, so let's play it. And whilst it's playing, because you've heard it, haven't you?
I have.
Whilst it's playing, Aaron can have a look at the actual paperwork that was sent. Do you want to just pull it out?
Yeah, I'll pull it out
to give to Aaron? So this was a podcast. I've not heard of them before, but they look like a couple of characters. And it's called The Hard Yarns. And this clip is 2 minutes long, but it's well and truly worth listening to. But I think the whole podcast is a lot longer.
Oh, it would be. And I'll butt in on that. These guys, I've seen some of their podcasts, and they're very, very good.
Yeah, they're very good.
I don't know what the agenda is on this particular one, but I've seen some very good work from them.
Yeah.
And I think, end of the day, we're about free speech here, and it's a very good opportunity to actually mention there's a lot of people out there in independent media that have got podcasts and so forth, and this is the way we get this sort of information out.
Yes,
we certainly won't get it through the mainstream media.
No, that's exactly right.
Okay, so let's play. If anyone wants to listen, just put your headphones on.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm being sexually harassed by my boss or another colleague.
Yeah.
What do you think the process is?
Go to my boss, tell them that I've been sexually harassed. What's the correct way to go about this?
Yeah, and what do you think you would get?
Let's lodge some. Lodge
a form,
a formal complaint,
Yeah.
and then let's get the person in and let's have a chat.
Yeah. What do you think it would say on that formal complaint when you're filling stuff in? What questions do you think it would ask?
What was inappropriately said or done to you?
Yeah.
And how did it make you feel?
All right. Do you think it would be anything like the report that this person got given?
Okay.
This is real.
This is real?
This is real.
Okay.
A, which ear were the hurtful words spoken into? B, is there permanent feeling damage? C, did you require a tissue for tears? And D, has this resulted in a traumatic brain injury? If it wasn't so serious, this is like comedic gold, man. Okay, so that's the injury. So, all right,
There's more.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Part 4, reason for filing this report. I am thin-skinned. I am a wimp.
What the fuck?
I am a crybaby. Next one. Next tick box. I want my mummy.
This isn't real.
Bro, this is a fucking full spread from the West Australian newspaper today. Tell us in your own sissy words how your feelings were hurt, as if anyone cared.
I'm looking at this. I'm reading this as we're watching that. It is one of the most childish things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's also one of the most sexist things I've ever read in my entire life. And in this day and age, the fact that this would be handed out, because I won't hold it up, I will tell you this. At first glance, this very much looks like an official form.
It does.
Yes.
It's
It
very
really
hard.
does.
Somebody spent a lot
It even
of time.
It
refers
spends
in
some effort
there
on
as
it.
the department as well. So you read on and it says the department.
Yeah.
So
I see that. You've got the, the privacy.
So that
Act.
should be illegal in itself.
Well, the response, I think, from the department when they got questioned by the West Australian were that officer no longer works for the department.
Oh, but hang on, he's covered all his bases. He's done the important stuff. Okay, I think we need to be fair here. He has done an acknowledgement to country.
Yes.
That's very important,
On the
obviously.
email, yeah, it was very good.
Like, that is kind of, to me, just shows the quintessential problems we have. Okay, we're acknowledging things that don't need to be acknowledged. We're living in this, the ridiculous virtue signaling carry on. But when it comes to then we flip it completely, and we've got this is the letter of a child, right?
Yeah.
These are grown men, and these are men in positions of authority. This is not on.
And that have been in the positions for up to 15 to 20 years. So that person had been a prison officer for 15 years. So very, very versed. on how things operate.
Look, I'm a big believer in, I'm Gen X, okay? I grew up, rub some dirt in it if you cut carton and all that. I'll give you something to cry about, yada, yada, all the things that, are now considered to be completely against. So, I consider myself,
but there's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place. And this actually made me quite angry, to be honest with you.
Well, actually, when I first saw the podcast, I was quite upset.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because, while you're in it and you're battling through it.
Yeah.
And you're before a court or you're before a commission or whatever, minimising it or making it a bit of it is hard, because while you're in it and you're trying to find a pathway of complaint, that is the last thing you think you're going to get.
Yeah, I think they're laughing at this. Certainly
it's funny. Right? It's hilarious. It is funny.
If this was a joke email, it's funny.
It is,
but it's not, because this is real life.
It is real life, and it's kind of like, at the end of he was right. That was the only legitimate pathway of complaint where you could put something in writing.
Yeah.
That it clearly states in other, what happens when you put it in writing is that, things, they don't want you to put anything in writing.
No, of course they don't. We've got a state here where the police investigate the police for, their misgivings. And, I've seen I've seen police assaulting people. There's video evidence and the police go, oh, no, there's nothing wrong here, right? We've got this on every layer. And this is something that, as I say, these are government departments here. This is not how it should be run. To think that there's no genuine recourse here blows my mind, apart from going through the court system. Now, the court system costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, forcing someone to go through the legal system that way and not have a tribunal system that's genuine, right, is more of the bullying, because you're being bullied into spending all your money to fight this.
Well,
right?
it's crazy, because you filed to the Human Rights Commission. That's your first point, because it's kind of, I followed a bouncing ball. That's really all I've done. So if it can't be resolved within the workplace, then you branch out and you see that the Human Rights Commission deal with these kind of allegations. So you then go to them.
Sure.
Now that's 12 months in there when the state won't even engage. So they won't respond, they don't engage, they don't show up to conciliation. If they do, it's late. In my experience, the Human Rights Commission had to send a warning. They were going to give them notice as a show cause.
Is that right?
Why they just wouldn't respond to the complaint.
Yeah.
And that went on for 12 months, just trying to get them to mediate in a cost-free jurisdiction to resolve the matter. Now, the individual respondents of my case just didn't show up. And so the only option you have if it doesn't resolve, and you can't resolve if they don't show up.
Of course you can.
So these individual respondents just didn't show up. There was no indication they wanted to resolve. They were apparently given the complaint and all the systems they knew.
So there's no subpoena?
So they're given the reports.
Sure.
So they're given it. That was assured. So that was assured by the department that the individuals were aware of it, and they had a choice. Now they chose not to show up to that, to resolve it in a cost-free jurisdiction. So what happens then is the president's delegate of the commission terminates the complaint under the advisor that there is no reasonable prospects it's going to conciliate, and you have 60 days to file to the federal court. That is it.
That is it.
Or it's over. It's closed. It's done.
And who's paying for all this?
So I pay. You pay for yourself unless you get a lawyer. And the Human Rights Commission are great, so they'll refer you to places like Circle Green and Women's Legal. But in WA, those legal systems, those legal firms are funded by the Department of Justice.
Really?
So, yes. So you look at their annual reports, they're primarily funded by the Department of Justice. Wow. So are they going to bite the hands that feed them?
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No. And
so even rigged.
Well, I believe it's very difficult to get a impartial, independent lawyer would be able to represent that, because also you've got to think of the workload on them. I'm one person and I would only get one lawyer. Likeliness I would get a barrister is probably very, very unlikely, because it would be a pro bono system or a taxpayer funded system. And there's still 19 of them on the other side. So the power imbalance for a lawyer that is doing some pro bono work, they would get destroyed.
Fundamentally, it's no good for their career.
Fundamentally, I don't think anyone will want to take on the Department of Justice, because the Department of Justice is courts and tribunals, not just Department of Corrections, not just anything else. It's courts and tribunals.
Yeah, look, I mean, I know of a situation, I'll say this very, very carefully and very quickly, of a particular judge here in Western Australia who has been known to make sexual advances to lawyers, all right?
Yeah.
And when this particular lawyer who spoke to me told me about the fact that he had received these sexual advances, and when he had very politely said no, every single time he went to the court for quite a period of time, the judge actually threw the cases out immediately without even words being spoken. They just do the preliminaries, boom, and then they were thrown out. So justice didn't exist, right? He actually had to have it changed so that he is never in front of that judge again, right? Purely for knocking back the sexual advances of this particular man. That is disgusting at every level. Now,
but we don't have a
this?
judicial commission in
No,
WA.
exactly right.
We don't have a judicial commission, so even when that stuff like that happens, or there is potentially judicial officer misconduct, where do you go? Nowhere. There's nowhere to go. There's no oversight.
Nope.
And in WA, there is absolutely none. And also, so it's WA and the Commonwealth. So people like the Federal Court, there's no judicial commission. So the only place you've got to do is do a formal complaint to the Chief Justice, which is Miss Mortimer. And the likeliness that she's ever going to see a complaint is probably completely unlikely, because I would love to sit with her. I would love to invite her to sit down and talk to me about my experience as a self-representing litigant in front of a federal court and how that experience has been.
Very quick break, and we'll be back in just a tick.
Is pain holding you back? Bowen Therapy with Panacea Healing can change that for you. It's never too late to recharge your health, career, or purpose. You have the power within yourself to change what no longer serves you, taking your life and health to another level. panaceahealing.com.au. You can do anything.
And you're listening to The One Thing on Edge Radio Australia. Thank you for watching. Please do engage and comment if you're watching live, or even if you're not and you're watching a replay. We need this message to get out to as many people as possible. And one person can make a difference. And if this brave woman can walk into a courtroom and with all the intimidation that's there, then I'm sure we can do something as simple as share. What I want to do is just share a few of the comments. So Leanne, our co-host, thank you for watching, Leanne. Hello, everyone. Missing you already. We're missing you too. Hi, Bron and Brendon from Leanne. So wrong what happens, sweeping it all under the carpet. That is disgusting. How can we live in a society that condones these actions? Such toxic behaviours. Who is paying the bikies? We won't answer that.
Well, you can answer it once. That's it.
You can ask Brendon privately, Leanne. Wow, that is terrible. So are they using the prisoners to target you as well? I'll let you guys answer all these questions at once. Helen Miller, who we know used to be a prison officer herself, it's time the behaviours of some within the workforce, in inverted commas, of the Department of Corruption came to light. Kudos to Brendon and Bron. Helen Miller was our guest a month or two ago. Absolutely top woman. Leanne's asked, after all the time and the hearings, how do you keep going under the circumstances? And I'm sure that's what a lot of people are thinking about. Actually, we're getting more comments coming in, so maybe we will do one at a time.
Let's put the pause on there. And if you could answer that, Bron, I'd really appreciate it.
I mean, I think it's just one foot in front of the other. There is nothing that could ever make it easier or adjust to that environment. Each legal argument they bring up, each criticism they bring up, and some of them are horrendous. You know, I think I'm unintelligent, and my paperwork is deficient, and I get that they have the right to have a legal argument. I've never written a pleading before, so I only have what's before me, and I only have the rules that are written in writing, and I have the acts that are written in writing. The problem that I am suffering from is the discretion. Okay. So the big, wide world of discretion. So And I'm all about kind of, all right, I know the rules. I'm going to do this way. And so I keep by the rules. And then those rules, the bar shifts all the time. So you think, oh, it's quite a fear of it's gaslighting environment.
Yes.
So you're like, I'm pretty sure that I stuck by that rule. Everything's fine. Everything that they don't.
No.
So like late submissions, adjournments, filing documents without leave, just general, and then they'll just walk into court and do verbal submissions. Yep, there's been orders.
Yep.
And so therefore I sit there and I'm like, I'm so confused because I've stuck by the book because this is what the rules say and this is what it says in the book and this is what the other cases say, but then there's a discretion of the world of federal court.
The discretion is, do as I say, not as I do, really.
Well, that's correct.
I mean, they do exactly what you've said. I've seen this so many times where if you followed the letter of the law, you've done everything properly, you've submitted your paperwork properly, that they will go and break all of those rules there right there in front of you. And this is not once or twice. So if you've ever got some time, go and sit in the back of a courtroom.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. It is the greatest education known to man. You will actually see just how corrupt our legal system is.
I think that this is so convoluted. Like for me, it's black and white. Like we go there, we do our pleading, someone says, yeah, I did it, we cross-examine each other. You think it's going to be like the movies. It is nothing like the movies.
Yeah. My opinion's this, right? I believe the decision's made before you even get there.
Without a doubt.
And the rest is just pantomime.
Okay, interesting.
Without a doubt. And I believe the same. I believe that and I will raise it.
Yeah.
So I've requested a recusal of the federal court judge.
Good on you.
Now
so what does that mean exactly?
So the recusal means that I feel that there is apprehended bias.
Okay.
And I base those feelings on a myriad of situations, primarily, most recently, and it's publicly available now, you can see it now, there was no declaration of a conflict of interest.
Oh.
And that was the state barrister, Fiona Stanton, making a donation to the judge on his Facebook page.
Really?
And I saw that publicly. And so it was publicly available for me to see.
Oh.
And now this is Ms. Stanton is the head of the ethics committee. She is representing the state in this matter. She's defending the state and she's defending it the way she defends everything, I would say, which is pretty brutally.
Okay.
But that's her job. And she's obviously got a client. So whoever's telling her to do that, that's her client. And then, so I discovered as a part of the concerns for apprehended bias that she had made a financial donation to the judge's family. Publicly.
So how can the judge be unbiased? How can that be allowed?
So what I do is then request. I requested, you can declare a conflict of interest at crickets. No response. Or a perceived conflict of interest. I need to make an informed decision moving forward and conducting my case if we're on equal ground. Now, I get the familiarity that they have with each other and I get that they work with each other and that they refer each other for other cases. And to become a judge, you have to be a lawyer and a barrister. So you've had long terms of working collegially with these people.
Yes.
And there should be obviously a clear declaration if there is anything personal other than a collegial, which I believe included financial donations.
Yeah.
While they resided over my matter.
Yeah.
Look, I've seen cases where I can't even believe I'm saying this, but where one of the judges in the case, right, their daughter has actually been one of the lawyers, one of the barristers. Can you please explain how that can be right in any level? Or that that the two different sides, the lawyers on each side, right, walk their dogs together 3 days a week, right? Now you might go, well, that's a social thing. Come on.
No.
Right? Come on.
That's conflict.
That is a conflict right there. Or you've got a lawyer. These are the three examples that I know firsthand, I guess. Okay. You've got a lawyer who actually is on one side of the case, right? And then has hired the lawyer on the other side and then has actually started to work for them. And then when you bring up, is this a conflict of interest? Because you both now work for the same firm and you're paying her wages, they say, oh, no, I can't see any conflict whatsoever. And the judge goes, no, there's no conflict.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is, okay, with my experience in the court system and what I've experienced and knowledge from what I've actually observed as well through other people's cases, this is not rare. This is the norm.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's hard when you're a self-representing litigant because it's kind of like the biggest pyramid selling scheme since Amway.
Yeah.
I can't explain it any other way. But then someone is billing someone for something.
Yes.
When it is just a perversion, or it's weaponizing the system so they can put another bill in for another legal argument.
Yeah.
It makes no sense in my head. But yeah, I've got a lot to learn. The fact that I have probably committed litigation suicide by standing up and requesting the judge recuses himself. So a recusal means in federal court the judge has to make his own decision of whether or not he's going to stand down on my feelings, because that's all it is apprehended bias, that I feel that if he's accepting financial donations by the barrister for the state, not one of the ones from that's just representing an individual, but this is the head of the ethics committee and she is representing the state. And I don't want to see that. She could have made a donation anonymously. There could have been other things. And a judge eliciting money in the first place, I'm not sure if that's okay.
Speaking of money, and feel free not to answer this if you don't want to, but what's the situation with you? Because you had an okay paying job as a prison officer, and now, like, were you stood down? Like, what was that process?
So I resigned under a constructive dismissal.
So what is that?
So that means that they put me on leave without pay.
Okay.
So their resolution for me was to transfer me to a prison in the city to take me out of the situation, not the perpetrators. So they sent me to Casuarina. I live in Donnybrook, which is a 3-hour drive one way. And
so you were at Bunbury.
Correct. And it's a 12-hour shift.
And then they moved you to Casuarina.
Correct. And so therefore they didn't, there was no compromise.
Wow.
It was, you will start at Casuarina within so many days, which was an all-around drive, 6 hours plus a 12-hour shift.
And so did you do that for a while?
No. So
good on you.
I rang Casuarina prison and I was like, is there been a reasonable adjustment to the hours for me to commence at 6 a.m. because that means I have to get up at 3.
Oh, wow.
And I have got 6 kids at home.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't include your meals and getting ready for work, so you've got a full uniform.
Of course.
So it would have been approximately, I would say, an 18, 20-hour day.
So you were being punished all over again?
Yes, I believe so, because there's alternatives they could have chosen. I could have worked in community corrections in Bunbury.
Yeah.
I could have done work health and safety in Bunbury prison, just and somewhere away from the perpetrators.
This is blatantly a punishment.
It felt like a blatant punishment, yes, because there was so many other ways they could have done a reasonable adjustment. While the allegations were under investigation, I didn't believe necessarily I needed to be taken away from my family. So they offered no accommodation.
No.
They offered no petrol allowance. There was no anything for me to do those big shifts that they were asking me to do. And then finally there was the threat, which if you don't show up at Casuarina, you will get your pay cut off.
Wow.
And they cut my pay off. Just like that. And so therefore the mortgage and the children, and it was just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
What was the age range of, not that it's relevant, but just because I'm curious, what's the age range of the children?
So at the moment, how long ago? It was 3 years ago. So now David's 26 and the youngest is 16.
Right.
So I had 6 in 10 years.
Right.
So they just stagger through. I still got 4 at home.
Yeah.
Cost of living is hard out there.
Wow.
How have you still got your hair?
They're actually really good. I think they're more like housemates than they are.
Okay.
Now they're older.
I'm curious to know what made you even choose to go into the prison system.
It was a balance with the children. I was a single mum and I homeschooled them.
Okay.
And so therefore, when you work in the prison, you do 10 shifts out of 21 days. And they're shift work. So you can do night shift, day shift combination, because I needed to be home for the kids to teach them.
Yeah.
Now that was my choice to homeschool the kids. Obviously that was their choice too, but we lived in Bailing Up originally, which is a very small town a little bit further south. And homeschooling was just generally what everyone did in that community. It was a very homeschooling, promoting community. I'm not against mainstream schooling. It just worked for a very large family.
Each to their own.
Yeah, so it was work-life balance. And also I was really passionate about rehabilitation and assistance. So I'd come out of mental health, come out of Department of Child Protection, come out of specialising in youth welfare. And, a lot of the prisoners are young. Bunbury's a bit different. It's an aged population. It's what they call a pedophile murderer prison. It's got all the murderers and all the pedophiles in it. Yeah.
So who calls it that?
So and that's what it's known for.
Okay.
So it houses the lifers, the people some of the people that have committed some of the most heinous crimes in WA are there. So yeah, mine was about making a difference and also having a work-life balance with my kids.
Do you feel like you made any difference?
I did. Do you know what, to be honest with you, I loved my job.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I actually really enjoyed it. And I had such a good rapport with prisoners. And that was so reflective of, I think, their behaviour and compliance and giving them opportunity and finding opportunity within there, whether or not that's promoting work for them or different places that they could go. I think I could have made a difference. I aspired to be a SO and further on in my career. So I am quite a passionate person.
stands for
Senior Officer.
Okay. And Brendon, what was the reason you decided to become a prison officer?
Same. It was work-life balance, and I'd always been passionate about protecting my community and contributing. I'm a very proud Australian, and I thought, how can I best represent that? And I've always been in roles which have been protector of people.
Have you? Okay. And what's the reason you're not a prison officer now?
To put it simply, discrimination, medical discrimination.
Yeah.
Well, on that front, thank you for that little segue.
You're welcome.
I don't believe it's intentional, but there we go.
Yeah, well, we worked it all out before the show.
Yeah, of course we did. No. Look, a friend of mine has brought this story to me today. I had a conversation about our meeting today, and I was told this. Basically, and they said, I can't verify this story, but the person who tells me is very credible. It came directly from them, but hey, I've got no way of backing it up. So I want to throw it out there and ask you a question on it. So this friend basically said that their relative had basically knocked back the injections for COVID, all right? Just said no to it. So they were a prison officer and they were taken into another room, and other prison officers, senior prison officers particularly, beat them up, okay? Now, I can't verify that. Is that something you believe it's possible with that kind of mentality?
Without a doubt. So since my case has gone to air, and we've got prison officers from 15 years ago that tell the same stories, handcuffed.
Yeah.
Superintendents throwing pens at them like darts. These are investigators from, for example, insurance companies. They're investigating workers' comp.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if things don't go the way, or they ask questions, pens are being thrown at them like darts. So yeah, no, absolutely. The people that are coming out of the woodwork that have got their stories to share are the same as that story.
And please share them. This is why I keep saying it.
Yeah, so we're in the process of writing a book. So we're writing the book. It's called The Silenced.
Yes.
It's the genre is it's a fictional book about the truth. It's been written by a ghostwriter in the UK, and it is all about these stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone that hasn't had their chance to speak are in these stories, and they're choosing an alias name, and they're choosing their character, and they're the actual stories of what occurs in these environments, from trafficking, from briberies, from abuse.
Well, something you said earlier, and I'm just going to take this opportunity to have a quick jab.
Yeah.
You mentioned as far as not yourself or whatever, people working in the Child Protective Services, and you also mentioned the particular reputation that the Bunbury prison has. Yeah. I would like to see some people who work for the Children Protective Services end up in Bunbury.
Yes, I agree.
There is some very, very, very sick human beings in Child Protective Services. Yes. There are a lot of predators.
Yes.
Who are working
absolutely.
There. Yeah.
And it's definitely a broken system.
Yeah.
It is a system that lacks oversight as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, Farah, I could talk about so many things.
Is there any system that's not broken?
I think anything public sector in WA is let go. I mean, you've got no oversight. You've got budgets that are just blown out all the time, and there's no expenditure.
No accountability.
No accountability. They don't care about retention and staff valuing. They, in my particular case, they let go something like in 2 years, 22 people that were bloody good officers.
Right.
And so they want to get rid of the ones that are actually doing well and retain the ones that are causing the issues. And all those people get paid off in what they call barley money with NDAs through a workers' comp system.
Sure.
'Cause they push you down that system.
Okay, so just if we could just back up a little bit, if you can just explain for people listening.
Yeah.
You're listening to Edge Radio Australia, The One Thing, and we've got Bron, Hendry and Brendon Cooke on our show today, and we're talking about the silence, a very, very important topic. What exactly is an NDA?
So an NDA is a non-disparagement agreement or a non-disclosure agreement.
Disclosure, what the point,
Yeah. I've only seen the ones that the department are handing out to these victims.
Sure.
And they are so tight that these victims can't even speak to their families. So there is no allowances for them to speak to a doctor, psychologist, anything. I think one of them I read said the only person you can speak to is your accountant.
You can speak to your accountant.
That's it. Yeah. They are so
you can't speak.
Watertight.
Convoluted
That's
and tight. I don't know if
ridiculous.
any of them will stand up in court, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I
really?
don't think they're illegal. I think they're illegal.
Sure. Okay.
I know the Human Rights Commission at the moment in the eastern states, they're advocating for victims of sexual harassment, that NDAs are completely wiped off the
Good,
off
as
the
they
table.
should be.
And I believe they should be, because in my situation, for example, I understand NDAs if they don't want to disclose, for example, a payout amount.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Of course,
I get that, because you don't want to set precedent for how much she got and he got. But in regards to what happened to you, I think to process that trauma for the rest of your life, you should be able to speak about it. And whether or not it's the guy that is pushing the trolley next to you, or your mum, or your kids,
Or your doctor.
or your doctor,
Your psychologist.
anybody other than your accountant, you should be able to speak freely.
What does that say? They're making it all about the money.
It's not about the money. I think it's about
because you're-
reputation.
Because I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you said it was convoluted and I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand the logic. But I guess the logic is that your accountant would have to know
Oh,
because
correct.
of the money
Because
that
of
you're
the
going to
money.
get paid out.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
I think the only
How
like you're right.
ridiculous.
So usually
Yeah.
what happens with an NDA, it comes with a financial settlement.
So I just want to go through and respect the time that people are taking to put questions in.
Yeah.
So Leanne's asked, how can we change the system, Leanne? Have we got enough time for that? Maybe maybe we can.
We need another show. And I don't say that flippantly. Can I ask both of you now, can we actually bring you back another day?
Oh yeah, I'd love to come back. I mean, I've got a lot to say because I'm a real advocate.
Yeah.
And I have an idea for changing the system. So
right.
I'd love to talk about that
So-
in regards to the legal system and how what we're seeing and as self-representing litigants.
So do you know a person called Rabbit Code 13? Because she said Miss Bronwyn Hendry. Thank you.
Yeah, there might be Emma.
Okay.
Potentially. Hi,
So
Emma.
big thank you there, David Sparrow. Federal law trumps state law, eh?
Well,
That's true. Okay, so that's true. In state law, so I couldn't do the Equal Opportunities Commission, and that is pivotal because in the WA, our Equal Opportunities Act is 35 years old, and our lovely people that are tasked to update and review our act to keep our women and men safe haven't. So the only pathway in WA is federal court for human rights at this stage for sexual harassment. Federal law. You come and sit in the federal court with us. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
You've got to view it.
Do you want more people coming in to support
Do you know what? I think it's really important for people to see what goes on.
Yeah.
They need to.
Because at the federal court, all they deal with is corporations law, which is bankruptcies, immigration, human rights. I don't know how it ended up in this jurisdiction. It makes no sense.
Right.
And now fair work. Other than that, it is you can knock around there. I reckon you could probably house 250 homeless people in the federal court building because there's no one in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is resources that are, I know that these people are there and they're very well renowned judges and they do a wonderful job, but it's a very interesting jurisdiction to be a part of. I think I prefer to sit in districts or magistrates, to be honest with you.
Vicky Wicken says, watching you all from Thailand. Hi, Vicky. You always have my support, Bron and Brendon.
Thanks, Vicky.
Always travelling, Vicky. Aren't you?
Yeah.
Leanne says,
Vicky's
for listeners who are outraged or moved by your story, what can they do to support change? So we'll come back to that as well. What gives you hope, Bron? We all need hope.
I think I'm just this naive person. I wake up every day and go, surely not.
No, you're not. Like,
Do you know what? Like, surely. And,
you're
and
not naive at all.
And I think like I just have this reset button and go, I believe in justice. For some reason, I still do. And I don't know what it is. And I still stand before that same judge every day, although I think that he's apprehendedly biased. And I don't know if he's going to recuse himself. And I just hope that it's fair. And I think that's the only thing that kind of keeps me going, is that I'm like a Groundhog Day weirdo, someone with dementia, like that's got early onset dementia. And I think, you know what? I'm going to try again tomorrow.
So I was actually going to ask, I'm interested to know, I think through the adversities that I've had in my life so far, what I've come to realize is that a person's nature is their nature.
Yeah.
And you can't change that. You are who you are. At what age and stage in your life did you really understand who you were? Like, if you look back to when you were at school, as an example, were you the person that always stood up for justice?
Absolutely. I was always the girl, and I was sporty and overachiever. Most of my life, overachieved. I think when you've got some probably deep-seated self-worth issues, you just want to keep trying your best. And so, but terribly empathetic to the underdog. And so, yeah, I all the time pick up the people that weren't doing so well, or bring them into the big group.
Yeah.
And I don't hate the word resilient. I really do, because I think that it goes beyond being resilient and bouncing back every time there's adversity in your life. And I often think, oh, maybe I'm resilient because I've raised 6 boys. And I think, oh, that was a gift.
It is a gift.
It's kind of like not a hardship. It was a gift. And I think potentially I'm here, potentially I have the capacity to take it the whole way. My brain fries, but sometimes I trust that there is some intellect there to do it. Although you sit there and go, I'm like, could I be any more stupid? So I think it's just resilience and complete a bit of naive. I kind of, there's been many days where I've absolutely been devastated and cried all day and gone, I can't do this. Like, this is so hard. I don't understand Latin. I don't understand the judge's decisions. I don't understand how this is going this way, or how can they, for example, the lawyers just are so, I would say, brutal.
Generally speaking, they're absolutely horrible human
Well,
beings.
I would love to share, I don't know if we've got time, the recent experience that was just occurred.
Sure.
So only yesterday, the state filed submissions that I was responsible for someone's suicide.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, so the Fiona Stanton, filed some submissions yesterday. And the situation story was that there was a person at work, an officer, and he was a colleague and acquaintance, but nothing sexual, nothing like that at all.
Sure.
A friend. Well, I would even say not even a friend, because he didn't know where I lived and he didn't know much about my life, full stop. I had to establish boundaries with him because he took his advances too far. Now, I did that multiple times through the entirety of this time, or before I left. And until I couldn't, until my safety was compromised. He came to a party. He hid behind my car. My friends had to remove him, and it was quite horrendous. I reported him because I at a stage that I got to where I couldn't tolerate that he couldn't tolerate no.
Mm-hmm.
So who did you report him to?
So I reported him to Brendon, actually, my union rep, who was my person to report to at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know how to cope with this.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with him. He was becoming obsessive. Like I said, at the party, he was stalking.
Wow.
And normally I'd tolerated it. So I'd gone, like, please don't do that. And I'm not interested in you. I can be your colleague and I can be your acquaintance or friend, but I'm not interested.
So clearly a man with previous issues.
Yes, very, very big issues, but we won't go there. So therefore I reported him. And he suicided a year later. Mm-hmm. Now,
it's his responsibility and his choice.
Correct. And I would have thought that. And I don't think it's up to a state barrister or solicitors to even know his frame of mind while he was in that situation. The fact that they coincide me reporting something absolutely I had the right to report, and that the state have enforced that potentially I didn't have the right to say no.
Is that not gaslighting?
Do you know what? That's what they do. So I realise I think in any sexual assault allegation or a case, I think most of the defence barristers will say, you were provocative, you asked for it. When did you say no? Did you say no clearly? Did you make it clear you said no? In this case, I made it clear that I said no. There's factual, textual evidence that I said, please don't. I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're working with those people, you can't. I'm not the kind of girl either that would just say F off. Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm not nasty. I'll give them a chance. I'll give them a chance until they can't respect that chance. And so therefore I say no. And that's what happened with this man, is that I had to say no. And then the state are now blaming me, or they're saying that I contributed to his death.
What I'd be doing is I'd be taking legal action against her, okay, whatever the state's...
Fiona Stanton.
Right.
She is the... But for me, you got to remember she writes these documents saying that she's instructed by her client. And so I don't know who the client is.
Well, the client is the state government.
No, well, is it Kylie Marsh? She's the DG. Now, if Kylie Marsh thinks it's okay for a woman not to say no, what sort of Department of Justice is she running where a woman puts a boundary in place? Regardless if that man had threatened to suicide before, or he was using his suicidal ideation against you to keep you, I don't know. When is no, no? And that's what gets me, is that these lawyers are then saying, she blocked him and she this and she, when is no, no? I said no. And the fact that they then bring that back up a year later because he passed away. He was a WorkSafe witness, by the way.
Okay.
And he was asked to write emails against me. But the situation is horrendous, and it will come out one day once it's heard before the courts, I'm sure, of how that suicide happened. But the state are now contributing my contact with him, as in I contributed to his death. And I reported him for what was sexual harassment.
And what are your thoughts on that, Brendon?
I think it's just a case of lawfare.
Yeah,
it is.
It's not getting better; it's getting worse, and they're just convoluting, twisting, and fabricating agendas to suit their narrative. And it's unprofessional.
I think it's unethical.
It's unethical.
It is.
Because I think
disrespecting the dead.
But it's the people that are impacted by suicide. It's the most horrible thing for families to deal with, because you always sit with a question of why. Could I have done something to stop it? And I sat with that. As soon as I read what they did, I thought, shit, if I had just put up with him.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I can see the pain in your eyes right now.
Oh, it's so horrible.
Okay, do you need a moment?
No, it's okay. It's just probably the hardest thing that I've read.
My advice is to sue the bastards. Take a civil, let's make it about money. Sue those bastards. How dare they?
I think they think they have the right to write a submission assimilating me with a suicide. I don't know where their right comes from, or where their tested evidence has come from that I caused his death. But I think for me, it's taking away a woman's right to say no. Because if a woman is scared that someone's going to kill themselves after they say no, after they report them, then that is victimizing a woman for reporting something.
Yeah.
Well, a woman or anybody, actually, a woman or a man, whatever the case may be.
And do you know what? When someone,
it's legalizing crime. It's it's your fault that happened to you, or it's your fault that this happened to him because you didn't allow him to commit that crime against you. No, it's
correct. And I think, and I looked for so long, and I know I talked to Brendon, I was so upset. I was just like, you, as an empathetic person, you go back and you think, oh God, if I tolerated him for longer, if I had just responded to his text message instead of blocking him, or if I had just done something else.
It's not your fault.
And I understand that. In my logic, I get that.
No,
but
I understand. I had a girlfriend who told me that if I broke up with her, she'd kill herself.
It's quite common.
And you're just like, it's horrendous because you carry that weight. Right?
That burden.
It's so wrong. And to do that, I mean, obviously, look, in your conscious self and the logical you knows, no, you didn't do it, right?
Well, I don't think you can.
But if you're an empathetic person with a true heart, and clearly you are, that must burn.
Because that person was struggling for years before I even got there. Struggling with mental health issues for his entire, that I knew before I even got there.
You've come in at the last scene.
And I came in to that.
At the last scene,
And you got to remember the prison knew, the management knew he was struggling in life.
Yeah.
And they still know that to this day when they wrote that submission,
Yeah.
blaming or associating me with his suicide. So,
Yeah.
That's what annoys me about all the alleged support they give people. Oh, you've got access to staff welfare, you've got access to that. Okay, that's all good and well, but when someone is truly struggling, the amount of times an employer turns their back on their employee because they're an inconvenience.
Yeah.
The biggest issue that we don't address is these people who get to these points, the workplace is a contributing factor to where they get to in their mental health and the way they are.
Of course.
And then they take up habits. They start drinking. They start taking drugs. Their marriage breaks down.
Yeah.
They lose children. They lose homes. They lose relationships. But there's no support. And then if that person gets found to come in drunk or under the influence, they get tested. You're sacked, mate. You've broken our policies and procedures within the workplace. But what we need to truly look at is take accountability for your employees. Like, you've harmed them, you've hurt them, help them. Doesn't matter what the cost is. That's why you're insured. You support them and you help them. And in this case, they knew this person had a problem.
Yeah.
They knew he had addictions. They knew that he was a high risk. And they didn't support him like they should have. But what they're now doing is they're disrespecting him as an individual because he can't defend himself with what they're doing right
He's
now.
not here.
No,
He's not
he's
here
not
to
defending
say
himself.
what his frame of mind was.
Yeah.
He's not here to tell his story. And they use him to carry out their narrative,
That's right.
which is just so unethical, I believe.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Ethics is a big, big thing. Okay, look, ethics and personal responsibility are the two things that basically shape you as a person.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. And obviously love being the foundation under everything, right?
Yeah.
But if you can't nail those two, and these government departments are not nailing them at all. Like, they are certainly not taking responsibility for how they've contributed.
Well, it's kind of hard to know. The people the people that are putting this stuff forward in the federal court always talk about we're acting for our client, or we're instructed. And I want to sit down with Kylie Marge, the DG,
Yep.
the current DG, and ask her if she knows the content of this case. Ask her if she's instructing.
She wouldn't.
If she's instructing
Right.
hundreds of thousands in taxpayers' money, paying for these lawyers
Yep.
because they're billing the state for this litigation for 2 years, and there's no defences. We haven't even started yet.
Just a random question. Is it true, and do either of you know that for lawyers there's a very high suicide rate?
What,
I'm
in
not aware of
lawyers?
that.
Yeah, for lawyers.
No, I'll butt in on that. No, it's not. It's not a
It's
high
not.
rate
I
at all.
thought it was.
No.
I thought
I'm
it
not
was.
aware. I'm not aware of that at
Not
all.
aware of that.
I don't know if there's
I know,
suicide.
I know it's a bit
I'm
off
sure.
topic,
I'm
but-
sure that the job would be terrible. You'd have
It would be a
to
bloody
if
terrible
you're not a
job.
master manipulator, you would have to become one,
Yeah.
and that would challenge your own
Yeah.
ethical.
Well, but it doesn't. And I'll tell you why, from my
Yeah.
opinion here on this one, right? Is because, and I'm not saying every lawyer, but if we're talking about lawyers who, certainly barristers, anyone who has to get
Yeah.
out there and do the performance, right? These people are, I know this term gets overused big time. They are narcissists, right? These people do not have any empathy, and they do not, so they don't feel these feelings, normal feelings like normal human beings. They go out there, look, people who are drawn to being
Generally speaking, Aaron, not everybody.
I'm going to say almost all. I'm going to say that, right? Who are drawn to these professions, when it be barristers or who become magistrates or judges or any of these levels, right, are either narcs, okay, or they're sociopaths, okay, or psychopaths. They are drawn naturally. If they do the psychological analysis on these people, these are the people drawn to these jobs. So we've got a problem, because you're already starting with people who don't have ethics and morals to the same as the rest of society to start with.
And I think the judicial system kind of enables that, because they give them the
Encourages
platform to perform. So they give them the stage, they give them the style of judicial that we have in Australia, which is obviously the same as the UK. And so therefore there's these rules that are in place. They look really great. They're fantastic. 37M of the Federal Court Act is to promote efficient resolution of the matter, not to waste court's time. Oh, how the hell does that's not work? They will make sure that we bill again and we go again and we go again. And And do you know what? In my case, there are some lovely lawyers. I'm not going to.
According to somebody that's just put a post up as not maggot lawyers.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of all the lawyers. I have experienced some really lovely ones, and I would recommend actually some of them if anyone was going to litigate, because they don't treat me poorly. I'm sure if we were before a trial and they got to fire away, they will. But they do have some sense of ethics. And I mean, out of the majority of them, there may be only a couple, but I'm not going to take away from them that there are a couple of really lovely lawyers.
I agree. Look, in every profession there are.
I think anyone that represents the state, though, so we're talking about state solicitors, we're talking about Minter Ellison's, which is a large corporation, and they're regularly defending the state. I think they are tasked to defend no matter what. And whatever that looks like, whether it's blaming someone for someone's suicide or that is, for example, we had a Dion Barber case recently, which I don't know if it's Dion Barber. He was sexually, he was under the care of Department of Communities. He was sexually interfered with.
Oh, yes.
And it went before the court. Now, Fiona Stanton was the barrister for the state, the same one I've got. And she actually got warned by the judge because she was going to make him go and sit on the stand and relive his story to be cross-examined again.
Oh, okay.
You know, they're the tactics. Now, the state already admitted to what happened to him. They'd already said.
So it was unnecessary.
It was unnecessary. And then her response, her response to that was, oh, he's mentally perturbed because his parents didn't want him. So then she brings up something else that's just to hurt that man that is there to get justice.
Yeah, yeah.
So...
look, I'll say this, and I think we'll probably say this in closing. Maybe not, because there were 3 points that we did promise people that we're going to tune in that we were going to cover, and I want to make sure we cover them. But before I go here, I wanted to ask you. You wanted to come on because you believe you can have a suppression order. So
I do.
When do you think that will happen?
So I do believe. So the state have applied for suppression.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the second time they've applied for suppression. They didn't get it the first time, but this is the second time. And that will be the 3rd of September.
The 3rd of September.
Correct.
Okay. So how long away is that? What's the date
Next
today?
Wednesday, we go to courts.
Oh, next Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So you couldn't come in next Wednesday because you might have a suppression order by then.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So potentially there is a suppression order. I don't believe it's in the interest of justice. I think it breaches every principle of open justice and transparency.
Okay.
And I don't have a position on it because you get to a stage where you can't argue everything as a self-representing litigant because you can have cost of order against you. So you just go, okay, I'm going to trust the court. I'm going to trust the judge is going to make a decision in the interest of justice and in the interest of open justice. So
you still have faith in the system, Bron? Amazing.
Well, I go there every time hoping there's faith. I mean,
amazing. So the areas we said that we would disclose is Federal Court of Australia, human rights and standing alone.
Yes.
We also said that we'd talk about battling the state in litigation. Who is paying for these lawyers and barristers? 16 of them.
I'd love to know. I would love to know who's funding
on some
them.
days, 2 years, 21 hearings.
Correct.
Well,
and no defence.
I can answer that. You, me, you.
I mean, where's the parliamentary inquiry and question time to where's the budget on who is why? Because this could go away, obviously. Like, why is there litigation funding? What are they protecting? Because all they're doing, the longer it sits in litigation, is actually, like, they've got prosecuted by WorkSafe, for example. The longer it sits, and there's another 3 women coming through, they're about to go public when they file to federal court. So then you've got the same story being told over and over again.
Are these ex-prison officers as well?
Same prison, same perpetrators.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
Coming through again.
So are they all watching tonight?
Yes, they should be all watching tonight.
Yeah.
One of them's in Canberra. Yeah.
Can I ask this? Okay, are they trying to set a precedence with you?
I don't think so. I think what I've done is probably pathed a way, and I've tried to make it somewhat potentially supportive for them not to be bound by lawyers that if they don't have to take those NDAs. They do not have to take those silencing orders. They can pursue their case to a public hearing, have a voice for a period of time, and they don't have to. So what happens if they get a lawyer, for example, too, if they don't take the instructions of the lawyer, even if it's pro bono, and they say, you need to take that money, because I say that's a good choice, then if they reject that, then they have to pay the lawyer's fees.
Yep.
Because they went against the advice of the lawyer.
Yeah.
So it kind of entraps people with lawyers. And so therefore The Constitution says we can represent ourselves in court, and we can. Yes, it's hard. I have provided some pro formas and support for people that are wanting to go that path, and I've learned a whole pile of stuff. I've made so many mistakes. So, yeah, I guess that is the purpose, is to show women that with just a little bit of
and it's women and men. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are so many male victims at that prison too. I mean, the bullying claims, I think it's equal. Yeah. You've got women and you've got men.
So what's the like if you had to remove the I'm trying not to use the word evil, but I just can't help it. If you had to remove that element, would it be 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10?
I think it's pretty high. I mean, I know there's
extremely high
in that prison. If you were to look at, we have asked Parliament to pull the work cover stats about psychological injury in that prison specifically for bullying. And what we collated, and the union, WAPO union collated, is that there was almost $1 million spent in 1 year and just silencing these people.
Right.
And this is psychosocial. So this is not back injury.
All right. So just explain what that means. So $1 million was paid, and how did that silence people?
So what happens is they pay each officer from $165,000 to $80,000, $90,000 in a workers' comp jurisdiction, a no-fault jurisdiction with an NDA. So they claim bullying. The prison push them into workers' comp. Then they get a lump sum payout, no fault.
Yep.
Yes. And you resign. Resign now, you move on. And that is which
isn't a great deal of money either. It's only a couple of years' salary, isn't it?
The thing is, though, they should be engaging in injury management. So if these people are saying, look, I'm bullied, you support them in a return to work.
Yes.
You are proactive about not going on workers' comp. Yeah. You don't send them on workers' comp.
Yeah.
You give them a time period where, okay, look, we're going to make some reasonable adjustments. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk to the perpetrator. We're going to talk to you, and we're going to get this sorted. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Why in my head right now is another brick in the wall playing.
Yeah.
They just don't care about us.
They don't care.
They don't care. Yeah, they really don't.
Yeah,
so you could look at it in another way as well, where our taxpayer funds are protecting perpetrators.
I agree. Yeah.
So if you're looking at it, the state government is paying to protect
they're paying for defence.
Abusers, bullies, sexual harassers. And they've got a long list of victims who've been paid off, NDAs, same people.
Yeah.
So it's if you equate it, it's millions of dollars protecting perpetrators within our system, and
because
that's disgusting.
They can't. I don't think they know how to manage it, and they have policy, they have procedure, and it sits there like it's some, but no one actually knows how to implement it, and people aren't trained to implement it.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's no practical guide for implementation.
So the other thing we were going to speak about is what happened to the Respect at Work movement in WA. Where is the actual rights for people
is actually quite
speak?
Funny you
Victims
say that.
Should not be silenced.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say that because there's just been a job advertisement. The Department of Justice have just started a new division for Respect at Work. 5 years on.
Really?
Yeah. So
you should apply.
I thought about it. I was like, oh my goodness, I could run that place.
Yes.
Not being grandiose, but I've got like a bit of experience on what not to do.
You definitely do.
I don't know. Where is the Respect at Work? I mean, people are still getting paid off with NDAs, and that's not recommended that anyone gets an NDA when they're a sexual harassment victim. We are so far behind the rest of Australia in WA that it's quite disappointing in WA. I mean, we always have been with the slow state, the nanny state, the something state. But I think with the state riches that we have and the apparent, like I think Kylie Marge is the director Andrew, and she's a lifetime public sector person. She's always, and her job was, I think one of her jobs was to create policy procedure or to oversee them. Where are they?
Yeah.
Well, I think something that's very WA, it's a big problem here, is nepotism. Right, on every single level and in every industry, it seems to be a closed shop. They don't like. I mean, I've had situations where people have wanted to litigate here in Western Australia and actually had to pay a lawyer from South Australia to come in.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the nepotism is so strong that you cannot get a fair trial.
Correct. And well, there's conflicts of interest everywhere.
Yeah.
So like even if I go to a lawyer and try and get a lawyer for myself, they can't because it's Department of Justice. And they do work for Department of Justice.
That's right.
They get the pro bono scheme or they get this because what I think was the Attorney General did quickly is put the State Solicitor's Office in the Department of Justice.
Oh, geez.
So now we have a super department where you've got nowhere to go. And so some of the girls now coming through the Human Rights Commission are actually trying to refer them to lawyers interstate because it's so problematic here in WA.
Yeah. The Human Rights Commission is just far too busy on big things like people being misgendered. Stuff like that. The big things that change lives.
Yeah.
This is so disgusting on every level, whether you're a man, woman, or child. The reality is, that this is sexual harassment. This should not exist in this day and age.
And there's no doubt, there is no doubt it didn't happen. So there's no doubt. So there are admissions everywhere. Everywhere. Like with lovely
and we haven't even started on how to deal with the actual prisoners. So we're actually talking about, the people that are supposed to be looking after them.
Absolutely.
So what because we could clearly sit here and talk about this for the rest of the evening.
Yeah.
What I want to make sure of, Bron and Brendon, is that you don't leave here and then say, oh, forgot to mention this or I forgot to mention that. Now, you said that you wanted to come in now because the corporate media have dropped you like a hot potato. You want to have a voice. So that's what Edge Radio is all about, freedom of speech and giving you that voice. And what I wanted to ask was, if we were to have you back in and you have the suppression on, are you able to speak about things such as how you feel we can improve the system?
Correct. Absolutely. So the only thing that with suppression will do is suppress the names of the perpetrators and the allegations within them. Potentially suppresses, therefore, the whole case because no person is going to sit and redact every piece of paperwork.
Yeah.
So the likeliness that the orders are going to contain redaction is unlikely because I don't think the court are going to redact that person's name out of every document. I just can't talk about that document, or I can't talk about that. I can speak to my experience about the court, the judge, the lawyers.
Oh, so you can still talk about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But just not the subject matter within it. Okay. I assume. But, I don't know what the charges are for breaching a suppression order. I don't even know what the details are of a suppression order yet.
Yes.
So no, it'd still be about advocating for other women coming through. I may be suppressed and silenced by whatever the court orders.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's lots of other women coming through and men and people suffering the same, whether or not it's in the public sector or anywhere, and they don't know how to get it to where they need to be for any complaint, whether it's their work. And there are ways and strategies around it to move through the system.
We're very creative.
We are. We could be.
We need to be.
But I'm sure you are. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Thanks
today,
for having
Bron.
me.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Great.
Always great to have you in, Brendon. Mate, anytime.
Thanks,
know
guys.
where we live. Come on in,
The big bear.
The big bear, but with a heart of gold. So we really appreciate him coming in. Do you have any sort of last thoughts? You've got all these messages and things to go through there, Lisa. Any last thoughts before we end the show?
Well, I would just like to say that everybody does make a difference, and I'm a great believer in the power of one. And one of my pet hates, I was going to say my pet hate, but I've got a few of them, is apathy.
Yeah.
Like I know in
absolutely.
any workplace that I've worked in, people are very happy to behind the scenes bitch about management or what's going on. And then as soon as you're like, well, let's go change this. And then you're sitting there with management, like you look around
And they're gone.
and they're gone. There's nobody there.
I think it's apathy. To be honest with you, it sounds really harsh. They're cowards.
Yeah, of course they are.
I think you've got to have some staunchness.
Backbone.
You've got to have some something in you. If you are going to say something, do it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're going to be on board and have a bitch or be a gossiper, and then you get put in a position where you are asked to be, like I will experience that. I'm going to subpoena witnesses, 350 of them from Bunbury Prison.
Wow.
So, I know that WorkSafe have 50 of them for their trial. So those people are going to be put somewhere and they're going to have to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's, I'm the same.
So,
I get frustrated.
you can make a difference, everybody. If you know something is not right, stand up and say so. And share this episode so that Bron can be heard and this case can be heard.
So important.
And we'd love for you to
Thanks.
come back and share with us on it. What happens next Wednesday?
Yes,
Do you have a
definitely.
large contingent that goes to court with you? Do you need more people?
I think they come and go and they dwindle. I think it's a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it is a lot.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
Holy cow. Just the environment.
Yeah.
I shit myself, to be honest with you. I swear there is not one time I haven't gone in there And Brendon comes in. Every time Brendon comes in, I just start crying. So I'm like, Brendon, you need to go away. Like, literally, go sit over there. So, and it takes a lot because you have physical body.
You make women cry, do you?
He makes me cry because I'm so you're all
Not all of them.
I'm all wound up because it's anticipation. I've got to come down the night before, so I've got to stay in a hotel. I've got to leave the kids. I've got to be ready for court. I've got to get people ready.
That's huge. So what advice, in closing, what advice would you give to people, Bron, that are going through something similar, given the experience that you've had?
I think if they're going through something similar, if you've got a lawyer, go to court with your lawyer. Mm-hmm. So you know what your lawyer is doing. You know what you're paying for. I think in some of these cases and some of the clients that they have in this case, they've got no idea. They've never been to court. Yeah. So the people that I allege, the individual respondents, haven't come to court yet. And so the lawyers do everything for them. So I don't think they even know what's going on in their own case.
Agreed.
And if you don't have a lawyer, then there's lots of people out there that are self-represented and then can give you the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Or if you don't know what pathway of complaint, then again, people like Brendon, me, there are people out there that can support you with industrial work issues, who to speak to, where to report it to, and be confident. And you know, and it's okay to say no for girls. It is okay to say no, regardless of if that was a colleague or what it was. It is okay to put your foot down and say no.
Yeah.
And stick by that no.
Yeah, absolutely. And for boys as well.
And for boys, I think we there was a whole world of consent and sexual assault and things like that. And for some reason, the fuzziness has been taken out of no. And I just, for me, I can't communicate that enough. Yeah. That is okay.
Yeah, body autonomy is very important.
Yeah, well, it's funny.
Full
It is.
Stop. All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for being in. Thank you, Lisa, for putting everything together. Really appreciate that.
Amazing. Thank you.
And, of course, with this show, please, do share. Share. Do the subscribe thing, all of that. But this is a really important story, one of the most important that you'll probably see all year. I'd love for you to share this because, look, again, free speech matters. It really, really does. Yeah. And this wonderful woman here needs to be heard. So get it everywhere before those bastards try and shut us up. And that's the most important thing.
Yes,
exactly. Well, one thing when I think about lawyers, I always think about this. Okay, what do you call 100,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. All right. And with that, we will get out of here. Thanks for being part of The One Thing here on Edge Radio Australia.
Ever felt lost online finding the right businesses?
Absolutely, like a needle in a haystack.
Introducing the Worldwide Awake Business Directory.
Tell me more.
It's your hub for businesses sharing your values. Discover eco-friendly products, socially responsible services, and more.
Count me in. I'll check it out straight away.
Find businesses aligned with your values on the Worldwide Awake Business Directory. Start making a difference with every purchase.